Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pastor Bruce. Welcome to AM Voice and One Man's Opinion. Today, I want to talk to you about the hypocrisy on the left. And please understand, especially you millennials, okay? Understand this. Back in the 80s, I believe it was, Barbra Streisand gave a speech, I believe it was at Yale University, where she talked about how universities had to ramp up their expenses in order to create a better environment for the handicapped. Elevators to get to the second and third floors for wheelchairs, wheelchair ramps, such as things like that. And here's a woman who's multi-million-dollar. I think she had like a $10 million portfolio at the time. And she sat there and she said, "This is what needs to be done." Okay. All right, fine. If that's what needs to be done, thank you. We appreciate it. And then they opened it up for questions. And she couldn't answer the questions. She had no clue as to what the answer. So the last question she was asked, who's going to pay for this? And she looked straight back at the individual and said, the federal government. She's got $10 million. She's living in a multi-million-dollar mansion. She doesn't need $10 million. She can give up $1 million to help a college. But no, the federal government's got to do it. In order for the federal government to do it, they've got to raise taxes in order to get the money to put it together to provide the grants for this to get done. So it's not the federal government. You see, even back in the 60s, they were promoting socialism in this country over the social democracy that we have and the capitalist system that we have. So later on, after she spoke, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks after, I don't recall, I found out Peter Jennings actually wrote her speech. She did what she was supposed to do. She was a talking head that tried to promote a socialist program where the federal government paid for it. And when asked questions, she couldn't answer them. You see, that's what's the hypocrisy of the left. You have the left calling out the injustice. You have the football industry that on the average, the sports people make $2.2 million per person, calling out the federal government for the injustice, taking a knee in protest to the flag, to the national anthem. They're protesting the injustice of the black people in this country. Yet, ladies and gentlemen, look at Colin Kaepernick. Here's a prime example of ignorance and greed. Okay? He made $142 million on his contract. That doesn't include, I don't believe, the sports endorsements that he got, the sale of his jerseys. That didn't include any of that. It didn't include any commercials he might have starred in. And here, ladies and gentlemen, he's got a 70s afro. I mean, this is 2017, and he's walking around with a 70s afro. I mean, come on, give us a break. You need to get into modern times. But here he made $149 million on his contract. How much did he give to help the inner cities improve the quality of life? Probably nothing at all. But he's living high on the hog. He's living in a nice, beautiful house. And when his contract was up, I believe it was a Miami team that offered him $900,000 to play for them as a backup. And he refused. He refused. If he wants to work. Here's $900,000. He refused it. There's the hypocrisy, people. I believe I'm worth more than that. Well, you're washed up and you created a problem within the NFL. We really don't want you, but if you're going to play for us, you're going to get $900,000. And he walked away from the offer. And then here are black people protesting at the NFL office of the injustice for Colin Kaepernick. People that are sitting there making maybe $20,000 to $50,000 are out there protesting that Colin Kaepernick should get a job making millions of dollars. I mean, do you see the hypocrisy here? He should go and say, "Go home, people. Go home. You don't need to be here. I've got enough money to live off of. I don't need more money." But no, he didn't say anything. He just let them protest. And the NFL said, we don't care. It's the team owners that are sitting there. You got to protest the teams. The team owners know what they're going to pay. And then you got the movie industry, the entertainment industry. Millions upon millions of dollars these people are making. And how much are they giving to the inner cities to help make the inner cities better? There might be one or two that are out there helping. But overall, people, they're greedy, selfish, self-centered, bombastic individuals. They think they're more important than everybody else and they should keep their money. And nobody else should have it. That's why there's a donation button on my site, amvoice.net. And I dare the rich on the left to click on that button and donate $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. If you now understand, I'm not getting it all. Okay, just over 3%, I believe it is going to the bank for transferring the money and doing everything they need to do. 3% for computers to do things. Think about that. So if you want to write a check and send it, my address is there. Write a check and send it in. Your name will be announced on the website. Your name will be in one of my podcasts to talk about how good you are. I can start hiring people that help me build this site up so that we can have a better system, works for everybody. And we can give, that's helping the inner city, because I'll take inner city people that don't have jobs, that have the educational experience to be able to help me out. I'll take them and hire them and do that. And you know what happens when you hire people and they have money in their pocket? They can afford insurance. Yes, they can afford insurance. So I want you to think about that. When people can afford insurance, do you honestly believe that we need as much money in Medicaid if people are buying their own insurance? The answer to that is no, we don't. So think about it. Think about the fact that when we start putting more people to work, less people need to be on welfare, less people need to be on Medicaid because they'll have their own insurance. And then we have to talk to Congers, you know, those lazy yellowback people up there that are greedy and selfish and want money, saying take it and put it back in the hands of the insurance company and let the insurance companies do it. And the insurance companies will act like banks. You have your insurance account, you have your health savings account. And when you pay into the insurance, if you don't use it, it goes over into your health savings and it builds up for when you're old. Now, when everybody's paying into the system, a minimum of $100, that's base. That gives you into the doctor's office. It gets you your flu shots, your pneumonia shots, any shots that you need, any shots that the kids need. You can get in there and you can get that for $100. But when you take 330 million people, multiply that by 100, that's what the insurance companies have. And do they need all of that? No. So guess what? There's no such thing as uninsured. Everybody will be insured. Now, as I said it before, look at it. You'll find my podcast on it. Basically, what happens is people pay into the health insurance. When they're not using it, it goes into the health savings account. That health savings account is invested into America. And the dividends and interest come back to the health insurance companies. And that what they get back in dividends and interest is divided in three. One, to help offset the administrative cost. 1/3 goes into the individual health insurance accounts, and 1/3 goes to the federal government. Why? Because I said everybody pays $100 minimum. And what happens is those that are on low income, those that are on welfare, those who can't work, the indigent that are out there in the streets that aren't making any money at all, they all are covered under the federal government. The federal government hands out $100. And that money that's not being used goes into a health savings account for the federal government. and they get 1/3 to help offset the cost of what they're handing out to help the low income and the welfare people and the indigent. And eventually what's going to happen is that the whole system is going to build up enough interest and dividends to offset the total cost, so eventually you don't even have to pay for insurance. The same with Social Security. If we continue to put money in and not take money out for ridiculous programs, that money will grow to the point where I agree with Obama. We don't have to work. If we want to go out and study flowers and paint flowers, or if we want to just go out and walk around all day enjoying the beauty of the country, we can do it because our investments into our own country give us the dividends and interest that we need to survive. And seniors will have to sit there and, live off of their Social Security and their retirement programs. And their health insurance is covered because they've been paying on it for years. So they don't have to pay for that. The only problem is we have the greed and selfishness of the businesses in our country and around the world saying, well, gee, look how rich the American people are, so we're going to raise our prices. They did that back in the 1960s. A 900 square foot home was going for like $15,000. When they saw that a married couple was moving in and they say, hey, look, they're both working, let's start raising our prices. Then it went up to 20, 25, 30. Today, you can't touch a house like that for less than $250,000. Of the greed and selfishness, we have to stop that. And that's where the federal government comes in. You need to sit there and listen to my healthcare proposal and how it would work. And you need to send it over to your congressman and say, hey, let's put this into practice and stop trying to get government-controlled healthcare, because we don't want government controlling our healthcare. We want them to make sure that we have reasonable prices. Does a stress test really cost $14,000, which is a bill I received from the hospital? My insurance company paid $990. So why are they billing me $14,000? I called them up and asked, and they simply said, because some insurance companies will pay it. Mine won't. Mine is very strict when it comes to how much they're going to hand out for different procedures. And now that I'm Medicare, they're going to do the same thing. So my insurance companies are taking care of me. And that's what it should do for every single man, woman, and child in this country. And the government should support those who can't support themselves, not take away from the rich, but allow the system to build up enough money so that they don't have to pay anything out. Listen, again, this is the greed and selfishness of the left that says, I want, I want, I want. When you look at Congress, you look at people who own multi-million-dollar homes, they're making $107,000 a year. When multi-million-dollar home, who's that representative from California, doesn't even live in the poor district that she represents. They're suffering while she's living high on the hog. That's the democratic way of life. That's socialism. That's not what we're all about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to my podcast. This is Pastor Bruce. Please pass it on. Pass any one of my podcasts on. And if you're so inclined, there's the donation button. Make sure that you hit it. Give us what you can. I'm not asking for a lot of money. I mean, we have 330 million people. If everybody gave me $1, I'd have $330 million. You know what I could do with $330 million? But everybody's not going to give me money. So the rich need to sort of make up for the poor and let me help the people of this country. Again, thank you. God bless. Pastor Bruce says, have a great week.